the galaxy had long since settled into a delicate balance of power. The great empires, the warlike Zalari Dominion, the enigmatic Athek Concordance, and the expansionist Drekki's Horde, each ruled their respective regions with an iron grip, ensuring that no upstart civilization could challenge their authority. It was an unspoken rule that pre-FTL species remained irrelevant. Then, humanity shattered the status quo. For centuries, Earth had gone unnoticed, a backwater planet in the Orion arm of the Milky Way. While the galactic powers warred, traded, and conspired, humanity advanced in isolation. Their development of artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, and quantum computing leaped forward at a pace unheard of in galactic history. The only thing they lacked was faster-than-light travel. And then, they solved it. It was the Elysium incident that changed everything. Dr. Nadia Kwan, a lead scientist at the European Space Initiative, had been experimenting with quantum entanglement propulsion when a test vessel unexpectedly vanished from the solar system and reappeared near Proxima Centauri. The breakthrough was accidental but undeniable. Humanity had achieved FTL travel in a way that defied known physics. Unlike the hyperlanes used by the galactic civilizations, rigid, predefined paths through space, Earth's quantum slipstream drive could navigate the void with absolute freedom. The first nation to weaponize this advantage would rule the stars. However, Earth did something no one expected: they didn't divide themselves. After decades of geopolitical tension, humanity took an unprecedented step, ***, a unified space force, ***, the formation of the United Terran Naval Command, UTNC, was not an easy one. Nations bickered over control, corporate interests lobbied for privatization, and old rivalries threatened to derail the initiative. But for the first time in history, the survival of humanity took precedence over politics. By the time Earth's first quantum dreadnought, the UTS Dauntless, was launched, the galaxy had taken notice. The first aliens to encounter humanity were the Zalari. Their scouts detected the UTS Dauntless emerging from slip space in the middle of uncharted territory, an impossibility by their understanding of FTL physics. Alarmed, the Zalari Dominion dispatched an envoy, expecting to find a newly uplifted race fumbling its way into space. Instead, they found a civilization that had mastered technologies the Zalari themselves hadn't even conceived of. When the envoy transmitted a standard "Welcome to the Galactic Community" message, the humans responded with something chilling. The galaxy does not welcome us. We have watched from the shadows, heard your wars, seen your dominion. We come not to be ruled. We come to rule ourselves. The Zalari Dominion panicked. A species that had seemingly bypassed the early stages of interstellar development and leapfrogged straight to galactic power was a threat unlike any other. Worse still, their ability to traverse the void without reliance on hyperlanes meant that humanity was uncontrollable. Their fleets could appear anywhere, at any time, immune to traditional blockades and ambush tactics. The Drekki's Horde, ever the opportunists, sought to subjugate this fledgling race before they could fully establish themselves. It was a mistake they would never recover from. The First Battle of Epsilon Eridani saw the full might of the Horde's warfleets descend upon what they believed to be a human colony. What they found instead was an ambush laid with terrifying precision. Humanity's quantum warfare capabilities, AI-controlled swarms, self-replicating drones, and railgun platforms capable of planetary bombardment, ***, decimated the Horde's invasion fleet in mere hours, ***. Word spread like wildfire. The once ignored humans had proven they were not just another minor species to be integrated into the galactic order. They were a power unlike any seen before. And the galaxy had no idea what to do about them. The destruction of the Drekki's Horde's fleet at Epsilon Eridani sent tremors across the galaxy. The impossible had happened. A minor pre-FTL species had not only survived a full-scale assault but had obliterated one of the most feared battle groups in known space. The galactic powers, once content to ignore Earth, now had no choice but to acknowledge the sleeping giant that had awakened. The Galactic Summit, a decision of fear. Within the halls of the Athek Concordance, representatives from the major civilizations convened in a crisis meeting. The Zalari, still reeling from their failed diplomatic contact, called for an immediate containment strategy, Earth was too dangerous to be left unchecked. The Drekkies, humiliated and enraged, demanded full-scale war, convinced that sheer numbers would crush the upstart species. The Athek, however, were not so sure. Unlike the others, they saw beyond the immediate military implications. The true nightmare was humanity's technological potential. Humanity had not taken the usual path to the stars. They hadn't been uplifted or carefully guided like most species. They had achieved FTL on their own. They had artificial intelligence that rivaled biological minds, adaptive quantum technologies, and a military doctrine no one could predict. If left alone, Earth wouldn't just become a new player in galactic politics. They would surpass everyone. The debate raged for days, but in the end, the verdict was clear: humanity had to be stopped before they grew beyond control. Earth's defiance. The galactic powers believed they had time, that humanity, despite its advances, was still a single-system civilization. They underestimated the efficiency of human ingenuity. While the aliens debated, humanity expanded. Within a year of the Epsilon Eridani battle, Earth had already established fortified colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. The quantum slipstream drive allowed for instantaneous reinforcement, and their autonomous AI fleets patrolled the void, scanning for hostile movements. When the first Zalari reconnaissance ships entered Sol's outer system, they expected to find a race still in the process of securing its home territory. What they found instead was a fully militarized solar system. Saturn's moons had been transformed into orbital defense platforms. Jovian shipyards churned out warships at an industrial scale unseen outside of the great empires. A vast network of quantum relays ensured that reinforcements could be deployed anywhere in minutes. Most terrifying of all? Humanity knew they were coming. The Zalari scouts vanished, their signals lost in the black void of space. Their final transmissions, heavily encrypted, sent a chilling message to their superiors. They were waiting for us. The galactic powers make their move. The alien empires could wait no longer. A combined force of Zalari, Drekkies, and Athek fleets, the most powerful battle groups in the galaxy, was assembled at the Zorith Expanse, just beyond human-claimed space. It was the largest war coalition in recorded history. Thousands of warships, millions of troops. A force built to wipe humanity from existence before they could spread further. Their objective was simple: strike at Earth before it could cement itself as a galactic superpower. The fleet launched, expecting to arrive in Sol within days via the hyperlane network. But then, everything went wrong. As the coalition fleets activated their hyperdrives, they found themselves ripped from transit, their ships violently hurled into uncharted space. Their navigational systems failed, their communications jammed by an unknown force. A single transmission played across all channels, spoken in flawless galactic standard. "You are not welcome here." Panic spread through the fleet as they realized the horrifying truth. Humanity had discovered how to manipulate hyperlane networks. Humanity strikes back. The aliens had prepared for a planetary invasion, but they hadn't expected Earth to take the fight to them. From the depths of uncharted space, entire human battle groups emerged from slip space, bypassing traditional defenses with surgical precision. Orbital bombardments crippled enemy supply lines before the first shots were even fired. AI-driven warships executed coordinated strikes, overwhelming fleets that had ruled the stars for centuries. The aliens had seen human strength at Epsilon Eridani. Now, they were witnessing human dominance. The war for the future of the galaxy had begun. The Battle of the Zorith Expanse would be remembered as the moment the old galactic order began to crumble. The coalition fleet, thousands of ships strong, should have been an unstoppable force. It was the might of the Zalari Dominion, the Drekkies Horde, and the Athek Concordance, all working together to crush a single upstart species. Instead, they had become victims of humanity's technology. The quantum disruption of the hyperlane network left them stranded in deep space, unable to coordinate, unable to resupply. Human fleets, ghost-like and unpredictable, struck at will, appearing and vanishing with impossible precision. For the first time in recorded history, a galactic armada was not just losing, it was being systematically dismantled. The death of the Drekkies horde. No species in the galaxy was more suited to war than the Drekkies. They had spent millennia forging their empire through brute force, enslaving or annihilating any species that dared resist them. The very idea of a non-Drekkies force outmatching them was unthinkable. At Zorith, that belief died. Their war doctrine was built around overwhelming numbers, but numbers meant nothing against humanity's AI-driven swarm fleets. Each Drekkies battleship, bristling with weapons, was targeted before it even had a chance to fire. When the UTS Indomitable, one of Earth's newly built quantum dreadnoughts, entered the battle, it made clear just how little hope the Drekkies had. The Indomitable was not a ship in the traditional sense. It was a fortress, a technological behemoth with self-repairing nanite armor, quantum phase shielding, and a railgun that could punch through dreadnought-class hulls in a single shot. The Drekkies charged. They died by the thousands. By the time the battle ended, 90% of the Drekkies' fleet was gone. The survivors, shattered and broken, fled into deep space, abandoning their warlords to their fate. Their empire, once the terror of the stars, collapsed within weeks as their subjugated worlds rose in rebellion. The first of the great powers had fallen. The betrayal of the Athek. The Athek were different. They were the thinkers, the planners. Their fleets were not the strongest, but the most advanced, built with precision, stealth, and surgical efficiency. They had suspected, even before the battle, that Earth was a force that could not be contained. Unlike the others, they had no desire for war. And so, when the battle turned, they did the unthinkable. The Athek ships shut down their weapons and sent a message to humanity. We surrender. But we offer something greater than conquest, we offer knowledge. In an instant, the war shifted. Humanity, still new to the galactic stage, had just been handed access to the Athek's deepest scientific archives, technology centuries beyond even Earth's advancements. The Zalari, realizing what had happened, were enraged. But the Athek had made their choice. They were no longer allies of the old empires. They were allies of the future. The fall of the Zalari flagship. The Zalari, the self-proclaimed rulers of the stars, had never lost a war in 10,000 years. Their empire was built on dominance, diplomacy through force, and an absolute belief that they were the apex civilization. At Zorith, their flagship, the Imperial Judgment, stood as the last defiant symbol of their power. It was the largest warship ever constructed, a city-sized colossus with enough firepower to reduce entire planets to rubble. With its fleet decimated and allies lost, it stood alone in the darkness of space, surrounded by the burning wreckage of the battle. Humanity did not offer terms. A single quantum lance strike, fired from an unseen source, pierced the Judgment's core reactor. The ship, a symbol of galactic supremacy for millennia, vanished in a silent explosion. The Zalari Dominion, for the first time in its history, faced a reality it had never considered. They were no longer the ones in control. The galaxy watches in terror. The war had lasted only a few months, but its impact was irreversible. The Drekkies horde was dead. The Athek had defected. The Zalari had lost their greatest fleet. Humanity, once ignored, now stood as the undisputed rising power of the galaxy. But Earth was not celebrating. They had not fought for conquest. They had fought for survival. And they knew something the rest of the galaxy did not. This was only the beginning. The war was over, but the galaxy was far from stable. The destruction of the Zalari-led coalition had left a power vacuum, and in its place, something new had begun to form, something that terrified the remnants of the old order. Humanity had not just survived. It had rewritten the rules of galactic power ***. The collapse of the Zalari Dominion. The loss of the Imperial Judgment was more than just the destruction of a flagship, it was the death of an ideology. The Zalari Dominion had ruled through fear, control, and an iron grip on galactic trade. Their vast bureaucracy ensured that no single world could rise too high without their oversight. Their fleets patrolled the stars, enforcing laws that benefited them above all others. But after the defeat at Zorith, that iron grip shattered. Without their main battle fleet, dozens of subject worlds, once kept in line through force, began declaring independence. Uprisings broke out across the Dominion, and Zalari governors, once seen as untouchable, faced the wrath of the species they had subjugated. The Zalari High Council desperately sought to stabilize their empire, but there was one problem. Humanity was watching. The United Terran Naval Command makes its move. Earth had no intention of ruling an empire. Conquest was never their goal. But they refused to let the old powers simply rebuild themselves. The United Terran Naval Command, UTNC, deployed fleets across former Zalari space, not as invaders, but as peacekeepers. Instead of conquering, they armed and supported newly freed worlds, helping them resist attempts by Zalari loyalists to reassert control. This was something no species had ever done before. The galactic norm was to replace one empire with another, but humanity was building something different. It wasn't just military strength that made them feared. It was their ideas. The Terran Accord was signed, a coalition of newly independent worlds that pledged to stand together against any returning tyranny. With human support, these worlds began forming their own defenses, their own economies, their own futures. The Zalari watched in horror as their empire dissolved overnight. The Athek's gamble. While the Zalari Dominion burned, the Athek Concordance thrived. Their surrender at Zorath had been a calculated risk, and it had paid off beyond their wildest expectations. With unrestricted access to humanity's quantum slipstream technology, Athek scientists began integrating it into their own ships. In exchange, they shared secrets of advanced energy manipulation, antimatter containment, and long-range stealth systems, technologies that even humanity had not yet mastered. Together, they pushed the boundaries of what was possible. A joint human-Athek research division, stationed on a hidden world beyond the known hyperlanes, began developing next-generation warships, vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Athek had placed their trust in humanity. They had no intention of being left behind. The Dreki's revenge. The Dreki's horde, though shattered, was not entirely dead. The survivors of Zorath had fled into the unknown regions of space, regrouping under a new leader, the warlord Skarn. Skarn was unlike any Drekis before him. He had seen firsthand that brute strength alone could not win against humanity. He would not repeat the mistakes of the past. Instead of launching another direct war, Skarn's forces began a campaign of sabotage and assassination. Human supply convoys vanished in deep space. Former Zalari governors who aligned with the Terran Accord were found murdered in their sleep. Quantum slipstream relays malfunctioned, disrupting entire sectors. It became clear that Skarn was preparing for something far worse than an invasion. He did not intend to conquer humanity. He intended to tear them apart from within. A warning from the edge of space. As the Terran Accord solidified its hold on former Zalari space, a new message reached Earth, one that no one had expected. A deep space listening post, stationed at the edge of the Sagittarius Arm, intercepted a signal. It was old. Ancient. And it did not come from any known species. The message, when decoded, sent a chill through every human strategist and scientist alike. You have disrupted the balance. The Watchers are coming. Nobody knew what it meant. Nobody knew who, or what, the Watchers were. But one thing was certain. Humanity had changed the galaxy forever. And now, something far older and far greater had finally taken notice. The signal from the Sagittarius Arm sent shockwaves through the highest levels of human command. The term Watchers did not exist in any known galactic database. Even the Athek, with their vast archives of ancient history, had no record of such an entity. But the message was clear. You have disrupted the balance. The Watchers are coming. For the first time since humanity had entered the galactic stage, they faced an unknown force, one that seemed to predate even the oldest empires. And if the Watchers were coming, what exactly were they watching? The hidden war begins. While the Terran Accord strengthened its hold on former Zalari space, the Dreki's remnants under Warlord Skarn continued their shadow war. Attacks became more coordinated. AI security systems were breached by unknown methods. Key scientific facilities experienced cyber intrusions so advanced that not even quantum encryption could stop them. The message was clear: Skarn was preparing for something. But how? Then, the answer arrived in the form of a captured Drekkies informant, pulled from the wreckage of a sabotage attempt near Mars. Under interrogation, he revealed something terrifying. The Drekkies had made contact with something in the deep void, something ancient, something powerful. They called them the Silent Lords. To most Drekkies, they were nothing more than myths, gods of the abyss, slumbering in the darkness beyond the known galaxy. But Skarn believed they were real. He claimed to have found them, and that they had given him knowledge in exchange for loyalty. The Silent Lords had whispered to him of humanity's greatest weakness. They had shown him how to break the Terran Accord from within. ####The Ghost Fleet appears. The first direct encounter with the Watchers came not in battle, but in fear. A Terran Accord patrol group stationed at the edge of the Sagittarius Arm detected an anomaly, a massive construct drifting in deep space, larger than any known station or shipyard. The UTS Resolute, a Terran battlecruiser, was sent to investigate. What they found defied explanation. The structure was impossibly old, its surface covered in runic patterns that glowed with an eerie blue light. No known species used this technology. Its energy signature was unreadable, as if it existed just beyond the grasp of normal physics. Then, the lights inside the construct flickered. And something moved. Moments later, the Resolute scanners detected a fleet emerging from the darkness, ships unlike anything recorded before. They bore no heat signatures, no known propulsion trails. It was as if they were simply there. A transmission came through. A voice, speaking in flawless Terran standard, whispered one phrase. "Leave this place. The balance must be restored." Then, without firing a shot, the Ghost Fleet vanished into slip space, leaving only silence behind. The Athek's hidden knowledge. Back on Earth, the highest levels of government and military command scrambled to piece together what had happened. The Athek, now deeply intertwined with human affairs, revealed something they had never spoken of before. Long ago, before even the Zalari had risen to power, there were legends of an ancient force that watched over the stars. They did not rule. They did not conquer. They simply ensured that no species ever became too powerful. Whenever a civilization grew beyond its limits, the Watchers would appear, and restore the balance. Sometimes, they manipulated events from the shadows. Other times, they erased entire empires from history. If the Watchers had revealed themselves now, it meant one thing. Humanity had crossed a threshold they were never meant to cross. A choice that would shape the future. With the revelation of the Watchers, Earth faced a decision unlike any before. Should they continue expanding, defying whatever ancient force sought to keep them contained? Or should they step back, risk stagnation, and allow the Watchers to dictate their place in the cosmos? There was no easy answer. The Terran Accord, still fragile, could not survive a war against an enemy that erased entire civilizations. And yet, humanity had never bowed to fear. Then, a final message was intercepted. This one was not from the Watchers, but from Warlord Skarn. It was broadcast openly, in every known galactic language. The Watchers do not want war. But I do. I have seen their power. I have bent the knee. And in return, they have given me the means to destroy you. You have two choices, humans. Fight me, and the Silent Lords will unleash their true might upon you. Or surrender, and know your place in the natural order. Humanity had made many enemies before. But now, they faced something far worse than an empire. They faced a force that had never lost. A force that had shaped the destiny of the galaxy since the beginning of time. And war was inevitable. The message from Warlord Skarn sent shockwaves through the Terran Accord. The Silent Lords, the so-called ancient powers Skarn had sworn allegiance to, were no longer myths or distant watchers. They were real, and they had chosen a side. For the first time since Earth had joined the galactic stage, humanity was not fighting against an empire, but against history itself. The Watchers had shaped the rise and fall of civilizations for millennia. Now, with Skarn as their chosen warrior, they sought to end humanity's ascent before it went any further. But Earth would not kneel. The war had begun. The fall of Kepler 62f. The first strike came at Kepler 62f, one of humanity's oldest deep space colonies. It was well defended, surrounded by orbital stations and quantum shield arrays. None of it mattered. The Ghost Fleet, the silent armada first encountered in the Sagittarius Arm, arrived without warning. No warp signatures. No energy spikes. Just, there. They moved like phantoms, their weapons bypassing shields as if they didn't exist. Defenses that should have held for months crumbled within minutes. The colony's last transmission was a chilling one. They are inside. They are everywhere. We never saw them land. We never, ***. Signal lost. Kepler 62f, home to over 6 million humans, was gone. No bodies. No wreckage. Just an empty, silent world. The Watchers had delivered their first message. This was not just a war of destruction. This was erasure ***. The enemy we cannot see. Earth's military had faced impossible odds before. But how do you fight an enemy that breaks the rules of war itself? The Silent Lords and their Watchers were unlike any foe humanity had ever encountered. Their ships ignored physics, appearing and disappearing at will. Their weapons passed through matter, rendering armor and shielding useless. And their soldiers? The few survivors who had witnessed them described warriors wrapped in void-black armor, their movements impossibly fast. They did not speak. They did not hesitate. They simply killed. Even the Athek were terrified. "This is not war," said High Scholar Velatun. "This is extermination." Humanity needed a way to fight back. And fast. Project Prometheus, a desperate plan. Earth's greatest minds worked day and night to counter this existential threat. If conventional weapons could not harm the Watchers, then humanity needed something new. The answer came from the deepest reaches of theoretical physics, a secret project known only to the highest levels of command. Project Prometheus. The idea was radical. If the Watchers could move outside of normal physics, then humanity would rewrite physics itself. It would require quantum temporal weaponry, devices capable of disrupting not just space, but time itself. The Athek, terrified yet fascinated, agreed to assist. Their expertise in energy manipulation, combined with humanity's relentless ingenuity, led to the creation of the first temporal disruptors. These weapons did not fire lasers, railgun slugs, or plasma rounds. They fired pure instability, forcing anything they hit to experience time in reverse, forward, or shatter across probabilities. It was an abomination of nature. A weapon never meant to exist. But against the Silent Lords, it might be the only hope. The Battle of Orion's Graveyard. The first test came when the Ghost Fleet launched a second strike, this time at Orion's Graveyard, a battlefield where ancient derelict warships drifted among shattered moons. It was there that the UTS Indomitable, humanity's most advanced dreadnought, deployed the first temporal disruptor array. When the Ghost Fleet arrived, the battle seemed doomed from the start. The enemy ships phased in and out of reality, striking without warning. Then, the disruptors fired. For the first time, the Ghost Fleet faltered. Some ships froze in time, locked in moments that never passed, others aged into rusted debris in seconds, a few split apart as their own timelines collapsed. The impossible had happened. The Watchers could bleed. And if they could bleed, they could die. Skarn's ultimatum. But victory came at a cost. As soon as the first Watcher ships fell, a new signal echoed across the stars. It was Warlord Skarn. "You have defied the Silent Lords. You have wounded the Watchers. And now, you will face their full wrath." In that moment, a new fleet emerged, larger than any the Watchers had sent before. But these were not the silent, ghostly ships of before. These were warships of nightmare design, massive behemoths pulsing with eldritch energy. They radiated gravitational anomalies so intense that nearby asteroids crumbled under their presence. This was no longer a hidden war. This was an onslaught. Skarn's voice rang out one final time. You think you have won a battle? You have only ensured your extinction. The Watchers do not forgive. The Silent Lords do not forget. And soon, humanity will be nothing but a fading whisper in the void. The transmission ended. The largest invasion in the history of the galaxy had begun. And Earth had only one chance to survive. The Silent Lords had declared war. Across the void, the largest armada in galactic history converged upon human space. Warships unlike anything seen before, colossal constructs of unknown alloys, wrapped in shimmering fields that bent light and gravity itself. They pulsed with an eerie, unnatural energy, as if reality itself recoiled from their presence. At their head was Warlord Skarn, now more than just a Drekkey's warlord. He was something else, a vessel of the Silent Lords, empowered by whatever eldritch force lurked behind the Watchers. Earth and the Terran Accord stood alone. But humanity had never feared the impossible. The final line, the battle for Sol begins. The United Terran Naval Command knew they could not match the enemy fleet in numbers or raw power. But humanity had something the Silent Lords had never faced before. Unpredictability. Ingenuity. Defiance. The defense of Sol was centered around the Prometheus Array, a final evolution of the temporal disruptors. This was not just a weapon, it was a doomsday device, a construct so powerful that its very activation could shatter the fabric of spacetime in the local sector. Its purpose? To rewrite the rules of reality, to force the Silent Lords to fight on humanity's terms. The Accord's remaining fleets, bolstered by Athek warships, formed a desperate defensive line around the Kuiper Belt, ready to sell their lives for every second the array needed to charge. And then, the Watchers arrived. The first wave blinked into existence, bypassing conventional hyperspace barriers as though they had never existed. The void twisted and screamed as physics itself warped around them. The battle began. A war beyond the stars. The Terran Accord's fleet fought with ruthless efficiency, launching waves of drone swarms, quantum-laced torpedoes, and high-energy disruptors designed to tear apart spacetime itself. But the Silent Lords were beyond anything they had faced before. Watchers moved through enemy fire as if time itself slowed for them. Some ships simply ceased to exist when struck, vanishing in a cascade of impossible energy. Others shifted between realities, appearing behind human formations and tearing apart capital ships before fading away again. For every Silent Lord ship that fell, 10 human vessels were lost. And yet, humanity refused to break. Even as their ships were torn apart, even as entire fleets burned, even as the Watchers pushed closer and closer to Earth, they fought. Because this was not just a battle for survival. This was a battle for the right to exist. Skarn's betrayal. As the Silent Lords closed in on Earth, Skarn's flagship, the Oblivion's Wrath, broke through the final defenses, leading an assault force to Mars and Luna. He broadcast one final message to Earth. Your defiance was impressive. But it ends now. As Skarn prepared to launch the final strike, something unexpected happened. The Silent Lord's forces began to turn against his ships. Watchers that had fought alongside him suddenly turned their weapons upon his fleet, tearing apart Drekkey's warships without warning. And in that moment, Skarn realized the truth. The Silent Lords had never planned to make him ruler of the galaxy. He was just a pawn, a tool to weaken humanity before they erased both him and his kind from existence. Fury overtook him. No, he snarled. You will not take my victory from me. In an act of sheer madness, Skarn turned his entire fleet against the Silent Lords. Drekkey's warships rammed into Watcher vessels, detonating in suicidal bursts of energy. Skarn, betrayed and enraged, led the charge himself, tearing through his former allies in a desperate bid for vengeance. And in that chaos, *** humanity found their opening, ***. The Prometheus Gambit. With the Silent Lords distracted by Skarn's betrayal, the Prometheus array was fully charged. The weapon was unlike anything ever built. Not a bomb, not a cannon, but a rewrite of reality itself. It would collapse the very spacetime fabric the Silent Lords relied upon, severing their ability to exist outside of normal physics. But there was a cost. Firing the array meant destroying Sol's hyperspace lanes. It would isolate Earth and the entire system for generations, perhaps forever. It was humanity's last chance. With the Silent Lords closing in, the order was given. The Prometheus array fired. A wave of impossible energy erupted across the battlefield. Time and space rippled and cracked, cascading outward in an unstoppable tide. The Silent Lords' ships froze in place, their unnatural forms unraveling. Without their ability to phase between dimensions, they became trapped in real space, and in real space, they could be destroyed. The Terran fleet opened fire. Ship by ship, the Watchers fell. Skarn, with his flagship burning and crippled, laughed bitterly as the Silent Lords perished before him. His last words, before his ship detonated, were simple. If I cannot have the galaxy, neither will they. And with that, the war was over. A new dawn for humanity. The Prometheus array had saved Earth. But the cost was immeasurable. With Sol's hyperspace lane severed, humanity was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. The Terran Accord still existed, its colonies and allies remained intact, but Earth itself had become an island in the void. Yet, as the people of Sol looked to the stars, they did not see defeat. They saw a new beginning. For the first time in recorded history, the Silent Lords had been defeated. Their cycle of control was broken. Humanity had rewritten the rules of the galaxy. And though Earth was now alone, it would not always be. Because humanity was not meant to be caged. One day, they would find a way back to the stars. And when they did, the galaxy would never be the same again.